guys are tough. In fact, I'm willing to bet you $20 that you're gonna give me a ticket. Hey, what are you doing? Hey!
Hey gang, Todd here, and as you can see, got a haircut. And as we are starting into the summer, we are also starting our month-long salute to homages to other films that were inspired by other films. Okay, technically, they're ripoffs. And we're starting off with one that is a bit of a cross between RoboCop and Terminator. Now, it was filmed around the same time as RoboCop, and this did cause some legal problems with it. But if you watch the film, the comparisons to RoboCop are fairly coincidental, nebulous. The real inspiration is Terminator. You can tell by some of the scenes they have. How best to describe this movie? Let me think.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
A little harsh, but yeah. As we get into it, you'll see it. It's not just a bad film. It is a film. I'm not even sure Mystery Science Theater could make this film enjoyable. But let's dive into it. Film opens rather interestingly with this couple on the way to a vacation spot running into a disheveled man and an unconscious woman.
Call the police.
Paul, call 911.
You bet. Call. This old boy just killed a motorcycle cop.
Intriguing. Unfortunately, it starts to go downhill from there, as while our disheveled man is being taken to police headquarters, we start a voiceover.
My name is Cold Iron. Barrett Cold Iron. I'm a captain with the Dallas Police Department in charge of their Tactical Operations Lab.
I suppose that's good information to have. And then he starts waxing poetic, and well, you don't need to hear that. Once at police headquarters, he starts to tell the whole story that started 2 days ago by telling what he had for breakfast when he got up, riding his horse, using new primer cord to blow up stumps on his property because it allows him to practice his lassoing skills. Why is he telling them this? I don't know. The primer cord will come into play towards the end of the movie, but did we really need to see that? Anyways, when he finally gets to the police lab, he starts to show a film about what he's been working on, the R.O.T.O.R project, to a bunch of other people. And it's, yeah, I can see why they thought it might be a little RoboCop-ish. Yep, he's going to make a robot cop so that real policemen don't have to go into dangerous situations. One of the most ham-fisted attempts at clever humor happens in this scene. Every one of the scientists he's talking to comes from a different institute or lab, which are all named after different members of the Beach Boys. The Wilson Institute, the Love Lab, you know, that kind of thing. And each of them, when they have a statement or a question to ask, works in a Beach Boys title into their conversation. Yeah. Well, after that meeting, he gets some rather upsetting news from the politician who is head of his project about timelines.
So, Doctor, I'm not asking for product. I'm delivering the command. 60 days.
And if there isn't product by then
the mayor, myself, 6 other high political figures, and, oh yeah, yourself as well, all go to the state penitentiary for misappropriation of state and federal funds.
Well, Cold Iron, what a name. He don't take kindly to that kind of ordering around. So he quits, leaving his assistant and police greetings robot to take over the project.
I'm project chief now.
Huh?
I got 60 days.
60 days to what?
Well, to deliver product.
And that's impossible. It can't be done. Well, what if you don't deliver?
Then you're project chief.
And that is the best character in the whole flick. An actual greeting robot from the Texas, I think, Houston or Dallas. No, they're in LA. No, it's filmed in LA. They're in... Never mind. It's a real robot used to greet people and for public relations. And he's got the best line delivery. Well, Cold Iron commiserates with his girlfriend and the assistant and the robot, I think his name is Willard, try and get this thing going. A janitor called Shoe Boogie, who likes to tell stories about his Indian heritage, causes a mishap.
Because like I said, once you go red, you never get out of bed. My tunes. Got to have my tunes.
Well, that happened. Our hero, remember him? He goes to a convenience store to get some charcoal so that he can grill some steaks his girlfriend got, and interrupts a robbery, and we get some action, finally.
Okay, white boy, you get to watch. You get to watch me blow her brains up and splatter all over the ground. Now, what are you gonna do? You gonna stop me? All you got is a newspaper.
I got more than the newspaper, and you get to guess what it is. Hey, lady, you want a job?
Thought for a second there they tried to use Cynthia Rothrock as a hostage. But I checked the credits and it wasn't her. Well, remember that mishap Shoe Boogie did? Well, it caused all the power in all the labs of the building to be drained. All the batteries, power hookups, everything, into the rotor. R.O.T.O.R. I keep saying rotor. Into the R.O.T.O.R. Capsule. And they go and check. He seems dormant. They go on about trying to figure out what caused the power drain. And now, halfway through the film, R.O.T.O.R. makes his appearance. First thing R.O.T.O.R. does is he pulls over a speeding car. He's occupied by Sonia and her fiance. We don't really learn his name. Well, she gives his name at one point when they're arguing, but it doesn't matter because R.O.T.O.R. shoots him down for speeding. He then tries to apprehend, or i.e., basically kill Sonia, but she manages to get away, and the chase is on. Well, that's going on. The police have come upon the dead body in the middle of the road and discovered a name tag that came off of R.O.T.O.R. They call it in, and the number 222 refers them to Cold Iron, who gets a call. And when notified of this, he immediately heads to the lab and makes a horrible discovery. Well, wanting to help spread the misery around, he calls Boger, the man who ordered the speed up of the product, and shares the good news.
Your wish. 59 days soon. I just hope you can handle it.
What are you raving about, man?
You wanted product, you got product. It's already killed ones.
What?
Judge and execute. It stops felons, judges the crime, and executes sentence. Justice served, C.O.D.
Not another word.
You call the senator and you tell him R.O.T.O.R. walked through a busload of nuns to get to a jaywalker. With malice towards no one. It won't stop.
You should save your own ass before the senator finds out.
All right, Bugler. I'll go get him. When I bring him back, I'm ramming him right down City Hall's throat.
R.O.T.O.R. is not my problem.
You're right, Bugler. I'm your problem.
It's not an 80s film without some tough talking. Although he sounds as expressive as Steven Seagal. Well, part of the problem is the actor was dubbed. After the film was completed, well, the filming, there was a delay before it could get released, and when it came around time to do the ADR, which is a lot of times dialogue won't get completely picked up by the boom mic and it might get muffled. And so they will bring the actors into a recording studio where they will re-record their lines so they can be edited into the film so that you can understand them. And he wasn't available, so they went with the actor they went with. Well, getting back to the plot. Sonia manages to get to a gas station and call the police to report the shooting. And they want her to wait, but she can't because he's coming after her. And she lets them know what highway she's going down. This information is relayed to Cold Iron, who heads out that way. And then we get a low-budget version of the nightclub scene in Terminator.
Hey! You can't come in here like that! Yeah, come on.
After mopping the floor with everybody in the diner, the chase continues on foot, where a helpful truck driver gets into a shootout.
Hey, you! Pull that trigger and they're going to be picking up little bitty pieces of blue pig shit all over the parking lot. Son of a bitch!
Of course, that doesn't put the rotor down for good. He gets right back up, and about this time, Cold Iron shows up and gets the crap kicked out of him by the rotor. But this does allow Sonia to get in back to her car and drive off. And as Rotor's driving away, Cold Iron manages to shoot his bike, which disables it a bit. Not completely, but then contacting Sonia on the CB, what luck, he tells her she needs to keep moving for the next 12 hours and then to meet him at this specific area up in the mountains, a lodge, fishing lodge, at 4 in the afternoon. And she agrees to this. Why does he need her to keep going for the next 12 hours? Well, he needs to call in some help.
If this is Dr. Corin Steele, I'm Barrett Cold Iron. It's 5:45 a.m. We've never met, but I need you. I'll wait at the American Airlines ticket counter in Dallas until you get here. Rotor is out.
Nothing like introducing a completely new character you've not heard of in the last third of the movie. That's a sign of quality right there. Anyway, after daybreak, Rotor, at a garage, manages to fix his bike, and this leads to one of the, probably the only really funny scene in the whole film. No, dang. Oh, that cracks me up every time. Well, now fully recharged, and which apparently has healed any injuries he's gotten from being shot several times. R.O.T.O.R goes back in pursuit. We then get a long stretch in this flick where Cold Iron picks up Dr. Steele at the airport. He drives her to her hotel where they discuss the rotor problem. They go to her room where she changes into her action outfit, apparently. And then they get back on the road and you get more discussion, which basically just boils down to, well, we've got to stop him. Each of us in our own way is responsible for unleashing this thing. Do you have a plan? Well, I got this. Well, I'm not sure, but we'll give it a go. Finally, we're hitting the climax. And R.O.T.O.R is closing in on Sonya. Pretty slick move. Well, she ran away on foot and gets to the lake, and it looks like she might be able to get away from him. Luckily, Dr. Steele and Cold Iron show up just in the nick of time. And then, while Cold Iron gets Sonya away, Dr. Steele gets into a knockdown, drag-out fight with R.O.T.O.R in the hopes of draining off enough of his energy that he'll become disabled. We didn't know her very long, but it was sad to see her go. Vaya con Dios, Dr. Steele. Thankfully, this has given Cold Iron enough time to get out his primer cord and lasso the R.O.T.O.R.
The robot's electric discharge is going to detonate the primer cord! For Christ's sake, get out!
And with his story completed, Cold Iron gets up, insults the two detectives that were taking all this down, turns to the mirror, insults all the people back in that room, and leaves. Tough guy till the end. And then we get the one surprising twist in this whole film.
justice served. COG.
Bet you didn't see that coming. And the film ends with the never before mentioned nephew of Cold Iron receiving his papers, his diary, all of his assets while he is at college. And apparently gets inspired to do the work his uncle had started. And our last image is of a very interesting looking R.O.T.O.R.
In his last notes about the R.O.T.O.R incident, my uncle wrote, "I hope we'll learn not to fear our technologies, but to fear the people who use them. I personally feel that when he created the perfect police combat unit, he deleted the very special quality law enforcement was founded on. Human mercy."
And that was R.O.T.O.R. A film so dull and bad, even the screenwriter refused to acknowledge it. Had his name removed because, well, to be fair, he had written a different script with a lot more humor in it. And the director and the star had taken those elements out, as well as rewriting some scenes because what the screenwriter had written was deemed too expensive to actually try and film. But yeah, this film has a lot of stretches of just nothing happening. And you have that tacked in action scene at the convenience store, which serves nothing for the plot and is just there to eat up time. Another problem is the dubbing of the main actor. As I mentioned before, there were some financial problems getting the film completed, and he either couldn't be found or refused to come in to record dialogue. And the problem with the man dubbing him is he doesn't really give much of a performance. The best way to describe it is it's a flat performance. He is the same way when he's dealing with people he doesn't like as he is with his girlfriend.
Officially.
For the record? Or for the mayor? Or the division commander? Or about 12 other high-crotched federales perched behind a two-way mirror? Yellow.
Barrett? Am I in that stupid squawk box?
Hi, darling. Can you hear me?
Like you're in a shower stall.
No shaving. You working today, babe?
Give me a reason.
Money.
Marry me and I won't need money.
Two can live as cheap as one if one doesn't eat.
The difference? Me neither. It's like Jack Webb doing a love scene. Yet the only one who actually gives a decent performance is the actress who plays Sonia. Let me see here. Margaret Trigg. She at least shows some emotion. You know, talking with her boyfriend, she's a little miffed, exasperated with him. She shows fear from the R.O.T.O.R and exhaustion and everything. It's a good performance. One of the few really good ones. But too much of the film is taken up with just drab dialogue scenes. The actual R.O.T.O.R doesn't even appear until halfway into the film. We've got scenes of Cold Iron flatly flirting with his girlfriend and arguing with people on the phone and hijinks with the weird little robot Willard and the shoe boogie going into an in-depth description of a native form of execution that little research show was actually originated in Norway by the Vikings. Although they may have come up with it at the same time, but it's all filler. And then in the latter part of the film, where we've got all this dialogue between Cold Iron and Dr. Steele, and it's just reiterating everything we've already seen or heard. So it's a film with a few action set pieces and then a lot of dull, flat dialogue and not much else to string it all together. So, all in all, it is a rather disappointment. Not that you could expect much on their budget. They didn't have the budget to do... Even the gore effects, I mean, the death of Dr. Steele, that is one of the worst effects I think I've ever seen on film. Even when most of it is disguised with the R.O.T.O.R vision that is mimicking, again, Terminator. Not a film I would recommend, even for a bad movie night. I put it up there with Beast of Yucca Flats. It's just a film not worth your time. Well, that's all I have to say about this one. Please hit like, share, and subscribe. And believe it or not, I do have a favorite scene that you can catch after the credits.